Relationship Thursday on JF. Add more flavor.
Welcome, listeners. You are on JF. It is Relationship Thursday. We decided to go down the valley today. We're at Dlamini, where we're with Reverend Sandile Dlamini of Kukanyogosha Zion Church. Welcome to the show, Dlamini.
Greetings, dear listeners, and greetings to you, Jobe. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for coming through and coming to share what you have as far as relationships are concerned. This is Relationship Thursday. I'll just hand over to you, Mr. Dlamini, and you lead the way, NBC, where we go. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Stolle. Dear listeners, today I want to speak to a topic I call the theology of marriage. I've chosen this topic because I have noticed how much this institution is becoming undermined. Mm-hmm. Those who are in it have lost confidence in it, and young people no longer believe in it. And as a result, you see the repercussions of same in the society that we have become. Because if you look at all the domestic violence cases, I'd sometimes say this is one institution that is now becoming an institution that is bringing forth so many atrocities.
Unfortunately.
Yes,
yeah.
And as a society, we have lost respect for it. So that's why I've come forth with the topic, marriage theology. Because when you say theology, that's when you understand that this is a God-ordained institution.
Yeah.
Yes, and we may define it as marriage is a foundational institution that predates all other institutions. Yes, I think I borrowed this from the late Dr. Miles Monroe. Yes, and in developing it, I felt like marriage is a God-ordained institution that involves the joining of a man and a woman as one flesh in a lifelong relationship. A lifelong relationship.
Yeah.
And in a nutshell, this may mean marriage is blending together of two different individuals. I underline the different individuals, namely male and female. I know the liberal philosophers would submit differently in this one, but for purposes of this discussion, with respect to as the English ruled in the case of Corbett versus Corbett, I will stick to the male and female.
Yeah.
By the unification of their lives. First, it has to be physical. You would understand that when you go through a premarital counseling, at that time, most couples don't even hear you because they are under an influence of infatuation. Yeah. And infatuation is yearning for the physical unification, you see. But once that has been passed, there comes the spiritual unification. Yeah. Which now you need to tap into what has been actually put in you. And spiritually means now, who do you respect in this relationship? It tests your God. It tests the source of the soul. If you don't have that understanding, it's a moment of struggle. And again, it's an emotional unification. You see, because if you look in the book of Genesis, Adam and Eve were naked before each other and they were not ashamed of it, which means it's an emotional. That's why we have such terms as what we call, into me you must see what I'm going through, you see. So there is also a legal union that is state-owned. Yeah. Yes, it gives identity in the laws of the state, and there is a social union, and there is also a political union, and there is an economical union. That's marriage for you. That's why I'm saying it predates all other institutions. It means we cannot have a family unless we have a marriage in place. We cannot have a nation unless we have a marriage. We cannot have any community, you see. And you know why the devil, it will be the first institution he attacks. But it is very important as people who are in this institution to serve in it diligently, to serve in it faithfully, with full understanding that it doesn't belong to us. We are only stewards. But what you have observed in most marriages nowadays, they belong to us.
Unfortunately.
We even buy them. We even do anything to get to them. We have expectations from them than to serve. So we have young women and young men who get into marriage to expect. They don't go into marriage to give.
To give, yeah.
Yes, yet the nature of marriage is about giving. We get that from how Adam is putting it. If you read Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, he says, this is why, or for this reason, a man leaves his father and mother and becomes attached to his wife, and they become one flesh.
Yeah.
Yes, if you look, there is a word there, a man. A man leaves. If you speak of a man, it's not literally a male figure, but a man we are referring to a mature individual. And to be mature, it means you have understudied the commitment you are about to enter to. And you are ready to take dominion in that commitment. In short, you are going to give, you are going to serve, you are going to lead in that sphere than to expect. That's maturity. But if we are immature, we do expect from a marriage. It's unfortunate that some of our counselings have actually alluded to those misconceptions because we have told our daughters, look for a man that is wealthy, look for a man that has money, you see. And also to our young men, we have told them, look for a woman that is neat, that is. So there is a lot of expectation. Hence, when there is a disappointment, it manifests in this violence I've spoken of. And again, when I say a man leaves, that's transition. If you leave, it's not like you are literally being detached from your family, but it means there is a transition. You enter into a new position in life. You command the world from an uplifted sphere. You see, and there is a lot that is expected from you if you are a man or a woman in marriage. So that's a transition. It means you are now not operating from a mediocre state of life. You are in a position of dominion. And when it says wife, it only means compliment. Get someone who will compliment you.
Wow.
Get someone who will compliment you. Someone who will be able to assist you to give into the marriage. You see, compliment you. You see, and compliment is not about likeness. Not someone who behaves like you, but someone who will compliment who you are. If I'm a heavy spender, I need a stingy woman. So she may compliment who I am so that the economy doesn't run out. You see. Yes, and there is also the concept of, they become one flesh. They become one flesh. That is deep intimacy between people. You see, intimacy. So one flesh, it means deep intimacy. By deep intimacy, I mean I look beyond the weaknesses of my partner. I look beyond the shortcomings of my partner. But what rules me, you see, is the woman that I'm with. So that's what we call theology of marriage, you see, because it yields to a model of a complete family. Those are the foundations of a complete family. And those are the foundations of a new family. If we say a new family, it means you are new, you are unique. You cannot be controlled by previous institutions. Just because your mom and dad divorced at once, it doesn't mean that's for you. You see, it's a new family with a new responsibility. And again, it yields to a process of learning, friendship, and trust. Because marriages are lacking those aspects. We're no longer building marriages where we intend to learn. Most people come to marriage all knowing. That's why I know how a wife should behave. I cannot know it. When God created Eve, I was sleeping, fast asleep.
Yo, yeah.
When God
yeah,
created me as a man, Eve was not there yet. So nobody knows how the other should behave. But we go through a process of learning, and who is a better teacher than God?
Yeah.
You see. And again, there's an element of friendship. You see. Friendship means I'm able to sacrifice
Yeah.
just so that you stand. You are my friend.
Yeah.
You see, I cannot dance on your shortcomings or blame you for your shortcomings. As a friend, I need to help you overcome your challenges so that we work together. And trust. Trust means I trust you.
Yeah.
I don't need to be close to you. I'm a pastor. I don't expect my wife to accompany me to services just because she's skeptical what the women will do to me. You understand? Trust means you let go without reservations. You let go without fear. You see, because if you want something to come back to you, multiplied.
Yeah.
You need to let go. You see, because if that thing is yours, it will constantly remain with you. So that's the position I'm bringing for Mr. Stoller. It's what we have lost in understanding this institution and all the things that are there. It's the lack of knowledge. And the Bible says, for lack of knowledge, people perish. Yeah. So parties to a marriage must know what they are putting themselves into, and they must know who is the owner of the institution, so that when the river goes dry, you just speak to the master of your institution. I will end with this. The original purpose of a marriage system. Why did God have this great idea, bring this great idea? Because one of the critical things about marriage, it's God's idea, it's not a human idea.
Yeah.
So I don't care whether you are married in accordance with Swazi law and custom, or you are in a Hindu marriage, or you are in a civil rights marriage, but the owner of marriage is God.
Yeah.
Unless we respect that person, we are nowhere in surviving. God made marriage simply for the purpose of a companionship covenant. You see, it's just to teach us how can we be together.
Yeah.
You see, as husbands and wives, you see, becoming one flesh, we may learn to win together. That's what I call companionship covenant, learning to win together, not be a separated front.
Yeah.
You see.
Yeah.
And again, God invented a marriage so that he can have godly families on earth. Marriage is an institution that is meant to perfect male and female into becoming men and women, into becoming husbands and wives, into becoming patriarchs, which is an honorable man, or a matriarch, which is a virtuous woman. You see, he made it so that we may have godly families. You see, and out of godly families, we achieve what we call communal purity. You see, it means the protection of any community. It's how well we adhere to the moral code. That's the only thing that can preserve any community, society, or nation. So marriage was the ideal institution to seed what we call communal purity. You see, because if that can be achieved, you can go to Cape Town for 2 months without locking your house. You see, because people are pure.
Yeah.
And what better institution can there be than marriage to instill those? And the last thing, God made marriage to command a national blessing.
Wow.
Marriage is for a national blessing. If we fail, we are denying God to bless this nation. You see. And if a nation is struggling economically, God is not looking for anything other than a godly family. He's not looking for anything other than companionship covenant. You see. But we go through these recession factors, we go through these atrocities, we go through this high level of crimes because we are not faithful to an institution that was designed to command a national blessing.
Wow.
So that would be my motivation, that let us go back to the purpose of marriage. And as a nation and society, we will survive. We will grow into what God designed for us to become.
Wow.
I thank you, Job.
Thank you, Mrs. Dlamini. Wow, wow, wow. I'm very sure that all the listeners will get something from this. I really like the angle you've brought this, because it refreshes the mind as far as the concept of marriage and the fact that these are the facts.
Yes.
Because for me, anything that comes from God is a fact.
Yes.
Not debate about it.
That's true. That's true.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Dlamini. We were so happy to have you today. And I do hope we'll get you really soon, because I can tell that there's a lot that you can still give to us. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stoller. It was indeed an honor. And we wish you all the best in this beautiful program you are making. I'm sure God will use it significantly to transform the society.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dlamini.
Thank you, Mr. Stoller.
Listeners, thank you for tuning in. Do like the page on Facebook. Do follow, subscribe on the channel, and spread the word. This is a platform where you can learn, where you can get ideas, and where you can be motivated. Do tune in even next week on Relationship Thursday. Goodbye.